one thing that stood out to me about your video is that the part where you talk about the mainstreaming of emo. And do you think that's kind of maybe, I don't know, do you think it has a detriment effect on the authenticity of emo, or do you think that it's been a positive thing?
Oh, look, I'll jump ahead.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
start here because I think this is actually a really interesting thing. So I think in a lot of fandoms, people have purity tests, and people really like to gatekeep, and you want to be first, you want to be the original. And so I know in music fandoms, I talk about other music fandoms too, like metal, punk, certainly. I'm not deeply familiar, but I imagine, in your hip hop circles and stuff like that, you have like this, people want that authenticity and crave to be the one who was there first. And so I remember when I got into emo and punk music, going to, we mentioned the indie record stores. You had to go to these underground stores, and I'd go in there and I'd be like, I'm looking for, I got really into My Chemical Romance. I heard they have a record that came out before the one I have. And like the clerks behind the desk basically like ridiculing you for not already having it. Like, oh, you didn't like that band until it was popular. You didn't like that band until everyone else jumped on. There was a real gatekeeping element. And so that authenticity and mainstreaming, there were certainly elements um, that were detrimental to the scene. And I touched on that just a little bit in the video because at a certain point, emo wasn't music anymore. It was a look, and it was a feel, and it was a vibe. Like one of the bands that everyone cites as an emo band, that people like talk about, like Panic at the Disco. And for me, Panic at the Disco is totally not an emo band. They do not sound like the music that got me into emo. But because it became a hot topic culture, a Warped Tour culture, they got lumped in. And the further that went on, you got further away from the original punk emo core, to the point where, by 2009, 2010, you had folksy kind of guys with ukuleles, and they were presented as emo bands. And you had guys doing like techno-y sounding, it's still rock and roll, but very synth pop, I guess rock and roll is what I'm going for, who were considered emo. And so there was definitely a point for me going through the scene where I'm like, oh, this isn't my scene anymore.